Good afternoon, world. This is Ivan Amara. It's coming up 5 o'clock. Hope you guys enjoyed my video I made yesterday. Talked about my book Xanus and all that stuff. Yeah. Talked about Xanus, my amazing book Xanus. Oh, and what? When I release my book When I'm King, it'll be a masterpiece. You'll see that when you read it, guys. I wrote an amazing book. Best man's not written. Yeah, I already showed you guys this is my book. Were you guys impressed? Yeah, Ivan. I was impressed. Yeah, I wrote a masterpiece, man. An amazing book. There's a reason why the gatekeepers want to control my book. Because they know I wrote a masterpiece, but they're not touching a dime of my money. That money's for me, VJ. It's not for you. They're not touching a dime off my what? Off my money, man. Zero. That money is for me. And VJ, it's not for you. I'm sorry. The money is for me, VJ. It's not for you. You're not touching a dime of my money, man. I'm gonna be very bold with the gates when they send me upstairs. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be bold with the gatekeepers when they send me upstairs. And now you guys understand why the gates want to control my brand, because you guys read snippets of my book. I wrote like the perfect fantasy novel. My book is the most entertaining read of a lifetime. It's a masterpiece. And I think you guys now understand why it's a masterpiece. I showed you snippets of my book and you guys impressed? Yeah, I'm impressed, man. Your book's fucking entertaining. Yeah. It's an entertaining read. Hence why what I have the gift from the heavens. Hence why the gates know my book is worth a lot of money, man. It's a book worth billions. It's worth billions because I'm a son of God and I have the keys. But it's also a billion-dollar story. If I wasn't a son of God and I wrote this book, I'd be rich. I'd be the next J.K. Rowling. I have to sell out, but I'd be a successful, famous author if I wrote Xanus. A story like Xanus would travel around the world because there's something unique about the story. Unique world, unique worldbuilding, unique entertainment, yeah. It's a sick story. It's a sick story, Sarah. Yeah, your book is sick. I know. I wrote a masterpiece. How do you do it, man? You're such a good storyteller. It's a gift. God gave me the heavenly gift, man. And that's why I'm an amazing storyteller. I know how to control your mind and keep you hooked. God gave me the gift. I guarantee when I told you I was a gifted storyteller, you guys didn't believe me. And once I started showing you snippets of my book, you're like, holy shit. There's something about Ivan's book that's very unique. It stands out. All these other books feel normal. Yeah, my book is special. It's a unique story. It's number one. Number one, yeah. It's number one. Yeah. Yeah, man. It's number one. My book. That's why the gates want to touch your money, Ivan, but they're not touching my money, man. Zero. That money's for me, VJ. It's not for you. You're not touching a dime of my money, man. You didn't let me make money in this world. And I find out you're that rich and everything. You're not touching a dime of my money, man. Zero. You kept me poor for 40 years and you don't want me to be part of your rich life and you cause that mess. You're not touching a dime of my money, man. That money's for me, VJ. It's not for you. You're not touching my money, yeah. Yeah. That's like he's proud of me. Ivan, you did it. Yeah, I did. I did it. I did it, man. I found a way to make money from Viche. When I told you I didn't write some shitty book to make money, no, like I poured my blood into my book and I wrote a masterpiece. I wrote an amazing book, man. Did you rewrite some sections of your book? Yeah, I rewrote the prologue. The Lithia chapter, the initial Lithia chapter I wrote was not that good. But then my stepfather deleted my file, and I ended up rewriting the Lithia chapter, and it ended up being better. Because initially I did not have Takius thrown in a dungeon. It was something else, and then when I rewrote it, I changed it to have him thrown in a dungeon. The chapter ended up being better. Yeah, the Lithia chapter is arguably the best chapter in Volume 2. You can argue, right? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, your book's number 1. Yes. You guys now understand why my what. When I told you when I was bragging all these years, I wasn't playing around. I knew my book was number 1 because I read my book and I'm like, there's something unique about my writing style, and the characters jump on the page. And I read other books, the characters don't jump on the page the way my book does. And I read my story. I'm like, yeah, nothing will top this story. And that's why I've been bragging to you guys for years, saying Xanus is the best fantasy novel written. And I showed you symbols in my book, and you guys understand why it's the best fantasy novel written. It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece, yeah. It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. Yeah. It's a masterpiece. Yeah. I haven't shown us more. No. I'm not going to show you more. I don't want what? I don't want spoilers over you guys, man. You guys will find what I mean when you read my book. Volume 3 is my favorite, but what will fans like the best? They're either going to like Volume 2 the best or Volume 3. I think most fans are going to like Volume 3 because Volume 3 is when the story gets very, very dark. And Tactius knows his destiny and he's facing the devil himself. He's in agony in Volume 3. You'll see him when you read the book. It's very, very dark, man. Volume 3. That's why it's my favorite. Yeah. What volume has more of the hook? You can argue Volume 2 has more of the hook, but Volume 3 has more of the spectacle. Like, you can argue Volume 2 is more hooking. You can also argue Volume 3 is more hooking. But I like Volume 3 the best because Volume 3 you have the big plot twist, the big climaxes, the big spectacle of the story. That's why I like it more. But you can argue Volume 2 keeps you more hooked. But you can also argue Volume 3 keeps you more hooked because of the stuff that's going on. So it's like a back and forth. But I personally like Volume 3 the best. And Volume 2 is my second favorite, and Volume 1 is the worst for me. But a lot of fans might like Volume 1 the best, right? Because Volume 1 is like the life behind the wall, and Xanus and Taki leaves the walls. He meets Sirius and Papari. Cassius and Tacitus are looking for Tactius. You have the scene with Eratat. Volume 1 is also entertaining too. Some people might like it the best too. But Volume 1 for me is the worst because it's the build-up. Whereas for me, it's Volume 3 is my favorite, and Volume 2 is a close second, and the worst for me is Volume 1. Obviously. People will tell me, Ivan, Volume 3 will be probably your best of the trilogy because that's when things get very deep and dark. Yeah, Volume 3 is when it gets very deep and dark with Tactius and Eratat, the Devil Wolf King. It gets very deep. Yeah. Volume 3 is like a dark episode of Tactius' life. And that's why I wrote a masterpiece, right? Like, you have this guy, he's a prince, he doesn't know what's outside the walls. You have the demon wolves outside the walls. He leaves the walls, he meets Sirius and Papyri, they go to Saphius, he gets to go in a dungeon, he's more humble. And then Volume 3 was the one that gets dark, and that's a dark episode of Tactius' life. It's a very dark episode of Tactius' life, whereby he's in agony at the end of Volume 3 because he's facing the devil himself. He's in deep agony. It gets very deep. That's why it's my favorite. Some Sarah. That's why it's my favorite. Yeah. I wrote a masterpiece. Is Taki's afraid of Eratat? Yes, that's why he's in agony, obviously. But you'll see what happens in the end. Something happens to Takis whereby he's bold. Like, even though Takis is scared of Eratat, he's bold and brave towards Eratat because Eratat's a devil, obviously, right? He's a devil himself, but he's bold and he's brave. But he obviously fears Eratat. Eratat's a devil, man. He's brave, obviously, and bold. Tactius, when you read the book. That's why I wrote a masterpiece. Yeah. No, Ivan, seriously, man, how do you do it? Every time I read sections of your book, your characters feel so real. Even in your young Tactius chapters, they sound like kids. How do you do it? It's a gift I have. Yeah. It's just a gift I have. I don't know how I do it, man. I have to have the gift. Yeah, but I don't get it. Like, all these authors write dialogue, you write dialogue, but then when I read their books, their characters don't really jump on the page. They jump on a little bit on the page. Like, the Lord of the Rings characters jump on the page a little bit, but they're very dull, obviously. All these books, their characters feel dull, a little dull. They don't jump on the page of my book. They jump on a little bit, but not like my book. The characters come alive, as I showed you, right? They come alive on the page. Hence why my book is so entertaining. It's an entertaining read, and it's a book worth billions. Even if someone else who wasn't the Son of God wrote my book, they'd be the next J.K. Rowling. Their book, the last one's names would be Harry Potter. He'd be the #1 most popular fantasy series in the world. You'll be beloved by the world, and it would have raving reviews. My book's gonna have raving reviews, man. Like 10 out of 10, 9.8, 9.7. Like, all the book critics behind the scenes are going to give my book a 9+ out of 10 reviews. It might, some of them might give it maybe a 9 because some sections of Ivan's book's a bit raw, obviously, as you guys caught. Some people might give it a 9.8 out of 10. Some people might even give it a 10 out of 10. They'll have raving reviews. They'll have raving reviews. It's crazy. Yeah. Raving reviews, my book. I wrote a masterpiece. A cinematic masterpiece, yeah, man. Critics are going to call my book a literary cinematic masterpiece. That's what they're going to call it, because when you read my book, it's kind of like reading a book movie because the characters come alive. They come alive on a page, and that's why my book is so interesting. Even the animal characters come alive. Yeah, Eratat, he jumps on. You guys read this section with Eratat for Fool. Yeah, they come alive too. Not as much as the human characters because they're animal characters. You don't really know what their distinct voices are because they're animal characters. But even the animal characters jump on the page when you read it, my book. Because how you do it, it's a gift I have. I don't know how I do it. It's a gift. God gave me the gift, man. Great gift. God gave me the gift. The creative gift. Yeah. God gave me and VJ the gift. VJ can obviously write a book too, obviously. If VJ wrote a book, it'd be a masterpiece too, because VJ has a gift like me. VJ's a gift like me too. We're both God. We both have the gifts, obviously, me and VJ. Yeah. Why did God give me the gifts? Because he knew the gatekeepers would lock all doors on me. That's why he had to give me the gift. Yeah, if you want to write a book, I have to give you the gift. I didn't know I had the gift. You know what I'm saying? I'll tell you a story. I remember when I was in high school, I used to read all these books in English class. When I was in Ireland, I read like 2 books for my grade 11 English, obviously. And I would write essays on it and all that stuff, do lessons on it and all that stuff. And I'm like, holy shit, writing a book must be tough, man. I remember when I read books, my holy shit, man, it must be tough to write a book. And I fucking wrote my own novel, Burn all those books. And all you guys know I'm talking about. You read Symbols of my book. It's more entertaining than all these other books that come out. All these other books that come out, they're not as interesting as my book. The stories feel dry. Yeah, there's something about your book, Ivan, that feels fresh. These books feel very dry when I read it. It's entertaining, but it feels dry. It doesn't feel fresh. The characters, when you jump on the page, it feels dry. Your book feels fresh, and the characters jump on the page. Yeah, because how do you do it, Ivan? How do you have that writing style? It's a gift I have. I don't know how to do it. It's a gift. I have to have any gift. It's a gift. God gave me a gift. I got the gift, man. Yeah, God gave me the gift, man. You know what I'm saying? Gift from the heavens. Yeah. God gave me the gift. Yeah. Yeah. That's why Ivan, watch out for the haters. A lot of haters are gonna hate on you. But yeah, Ivan's book was good, but I like Lord of the Rings a little time better. I'm like, okay, you're entitled to my opinion, but be honest, man. Like, let go of your jealousy and your envy towards me and my book. Did J.R. Tolkien and Brandon Sanderson and George R. R. Martin entertain you the way I did? No, they didn't. Yeah, my book was more entertaining than those books. And it's just the better book. If you're more entertained by the book, obviously, then that author wrote the better book. That's how it works, right? Yeah. That's how it works. Yeah. So Ivan, you're fucking cocky, man. You think your book is better than Brandon Sanderson's Way of Kings and Lord of the Rings and Will of Time and Malice of Well, I showed you guys symbols of my book, and all you fantasy nerds, you read all those books. And be honest, man, which book is more entertaining? Ivan, your book's more entertaining. Yes, my book is more entertaining reading all those books, man. Even the best books, like Lord of the Rings. I showed you Lord of the Rings. You see a difference. Don't hate me, Jared, talking, what I'm saying. And what? You guys read Way of Kings. A lot of you fans read Way of Kings. I heard Way of Kings is a good book. You guys read Malazan. You read what? You read Will of Time. You read Game of Thrones. You read all those books, right? Harry Potter. My book is the better read. That's why I guarantee you guys were shocked when you read my book. Holy shit, man! There's something unique about Ivan's style of writing. His characters jump on the page. It feels his book feels different because the characters are constantly jumping out of the page, and you're just entertaining your hook. Yeah, I know how to do the page hook, whereby when you read, you're hooked. Every page you read, you're hooked. I'm a genius. I know how to hook you. Yeah, I'm a genius. I'm a creative genius. Yeah, man. Yeah. 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 There's you Visa, Ivan. I love your book. I know, Ivan. You are gifted. I know, sweetie. God gave us the gifts. That's why what? God gave us the gifts. That's why I was able to write an amazing. Yeah, and the reason why my writing is so unique because I have the heavenly gift. I have the God gene. I have the heavenly gift. Hence why I'm so gifted. I'm a genius, and my book is so entertaining because I have the heavenly gift. That these guys don't have the heavenly gift. These other authors are gifted too, but they don't have the heavenly gift that I have, right? That's why there's something unique about my book. I wrote like the perfect story, man. My book is pretty much the perfect book. It's a fucking masterpiece. It's the whole book. You're entertained. Turning the page is a fucking page turner, man. That's why I guarantee you all the book critics around the world, all the authors, all the editors in the the big book publishing business houses. Holy shit, man! I would love for Ivan to come work for us. Ivan's fucking gifted, man. Yeah, Ivan can write a book without our help. Yeah, I'm so gifted. I don't need an editor to edit my story. I can write my own story on my own, and it'll be a masterpiece. Because all these authors that write all these famous fantasy novels on stuff, what? They have editors who help them with their book. And even and those books are still not even as good as my book. And I did everything myself. And I wrote a better book than all those guys. Yeah, I have the gift. They don't have the gift like me. They have the gift too. They're gifted too, but they're not. They don't have the heavenly gift like me. I have the heavenly gift from above, from the heavens. That's why I'm so gifted. I'm able to tell them. I'm able to write a masterpiece because I'm gifted. Yeah. Hence why Xanus is a horror fantasy novel. Because Volume 3 is when it gets very deep and it's horror. It's it's deep horror and it's deep whereby Taki is in agony and his friends are crying and he knows he's facing the devil himself. You see what I mean when you read the book? I almost spoil score for you. Like, what a masterpiece. And a masterpiece, yeah, man. A masterpiece. Yeah, man. Yeah. Why can't Eli and them believe that Taki's the Prince of the North? Because the Northerns never come to the South, yet alone the Prince of Xanus, right? If a random Northern comes to the South, the Southerns are shocked that that Northern would come to the South. So imagine someone who's a Prince of Xanus, they can't believe it. That's why Eli, they seize him, they seize Takius, and they can't believe that he's the Prince of Xanus. Even though he claimed that he is, they don't believe it. They seize him, Sirius and Papari, and they throw him in a dungeon. Sirius and Papari also get thrown in a dungeon, but the main drama is with Takius because Takius claims to be the Prince of Xanus. Yeah, you'll see what when you read that passage. Takius tells him, "My name is not Colonius. I am Prince Takius, whatever, something like that." Right? Yeah, when you read that chapter, and they're shocked, but they don't believe it. They throw him in a dungeon. Obviously, whereas Lithia has the faith. Lithia believes that what? Lithia believes that Takius is telling the truth. She believes that Takius is telling the truth, Lithia. And Bell too, whereas all the other Southerns don't believe it. They can't believe it. That's why when you had that hostile crowd scene, they're like, "Young man, does Eli speak the truth? Are you really the son of the North? The son of royal blood?" And Takius is like, "I am." When he said "I am," like Jesus and I am in the Bible, right? They're all the Safians are shocked. He's the prince, the last prince, the son of Takius the First. The stories, yeah. Yeah, because when you read the book, the Southerns have heard stories about Takius the First in the past. They heard stories about him. Obviously, how did the Southerns know about stories about Takius the First? I don't explain it, but there's you can find ways to theorize, right? When the Safians deliver the weapons to the north, some of the Norths might when they deliver the weapons to the north in generations past, they might have met Takius the First. And then people tell them things about Taki's verse, and they pass it down to the sounds. That's a way you can make it work, right? I don't explain how they know the stories, but that's a way they can know, right? I don't really explain it in the book, obviously. So I'm saying that's why I have a masterpiece. Yeah. 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 That's why I wrote a masterpiece. I wrote a masterpiece, man. A masterpiece. And I stink, huh? Holy shit. I haven't had deodorant. I have to buy deodorant. I really, really stink, yeah. 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 How good your book is, Ivan. My book is so good, it'll be a public embarrassment in the entertainment industry, in the author industry. It's gonna be an embarrassment. Like we're by all these authors are gonna feel like total shit. Yeah, even though our books are good, man. Like there's something about our books that feels normal about Ivan's book. Ivan's characters jump on the page. I was hooked like all three chapters. He entertained the shit out of me, man. Whereas our books, they're entertaining, but they're not as entertaining as Ivan's book. Ivan's book is so entertaining, and all the authors feel like shit. All the big book publishing companies like Penguin Random House and all that stuff, they all feel like shit, and yeah, it'll be a public embarrassment. And all the book nerds, once they read my book, when they read all these other books, it's a letdown. Because even though these books are pretty entertaining, they're not Ivan's book. It's something about Ivan's book that's so unique, and it's fresh, and it's so entertaining. These books feel normal about Ivan's book. Yeah, it's gonna be a letdown. All these fantasy nerds who love other fantasy novels, when they read my book, after they read, when all these other books come out, it's a letdown. These authors don't have the heavenly gift like me. They're gifted, but they have the earthly gift. They don't have the heavenly gift. I have the heavenly gift. That's why my book is so amazing. I'm gifted, man. I wrote a masterpiece. Like, when Ivan, is your whole book like that? Yes, guys. I'm not lying to you guys. When you read my book, the whole entire book is entertaining. It's constant entertainment. It's crazy. Hence why what? It's crazy. Hence why it's going to have raving reviews. An entertaining ride of a lifetime. A literary cinematic masterpiece. An epic, thrilling horror fantasy adventure, like thrilling adventure. Like, all these critics behind these are going to be giving all these raving reviews. 9 out of 10 reviews, 9.5 out of 10, 10 out of 10 reviews. It's crazy, man. Like, high scores. It's crazy. It's crazy, man, yeah. Yeah, man. Raving reviews. In my camera. I just in my camera, guys. It's better, yeah. So, Sarah? Rave reviews, Ivan? Yeah, man. My book will have crazy reviews. Yeah, man. Crazy reviews, man. I wrote a masterpiece. That's why the founders want to take my money, but they're not touching my money, man. Zero. That money's for me. We just not for you. You're not touching my money, man. You won't let me make money this world. You're not touching my money. That's how it works right now. You have all that money in the world. You're not touching my money, man. That's how it works right now. Yeah. Yeah. Ivan, who's your favorite character in the book? I like Tactius. Tactius is my favorite character because he's the main character. He's a prince of the north. I also like Job. Job is an interesting character. Job doesn't have that much scenes. Oh, he has quite a bit of scenes, but Job is an interesting character when you read the book. He's a pothead. I like Job. I also like Cassius, too. I like Tacitonius. He's very sarcastic. My favorite character is Tactius, though. Because Tactius has the biggest character arc. in the story. He's the lead of the story, hence why he's my favorite character. Takis is my favorite character. Because it'll be me, right? I'm playing Takis when I adapt the book. I'm gonna be playing Takis right now. When I adapt the book to movie. Trying to think here. Yeah. So, you think Xanus would be the best Fantasy novel written? Yeah, I showed you guys Simmons in my book, and now you guys understand why. Why I told you my book will be the best Fantasy novel ever written. It'll be the best Fantasy novel written. It's a unique story, a unique world. It's a unique story. It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece of a book. And I might even stretch it. Like, Xanus might be the best book, the best novel ever written, like, regardless of the genre. I think Xanus will be the best novel written. Because there's something unique about my writing style that stands out from all these other authors. I read all these books; they're pretty entertaining, but it doesn't feel as fresh. It feels more dry. My book, it feels very fresh. The characters up on a page, and it's constant entertainment. Like, I bought that romance book, The Proposal. I bought that romance book, The Proposal, obviously. That was a pretty good romance novel. And my very unique story sounds better than that, right? You see a difference, obviously. Because, yeah, Ivan, that starts very unique was sick. Yeah, I'm gifted, man. If I wrote very unique, it would have been an amazing book, too. I don't think it would have been as good as Xanus, but it would have been an amazing read, too, obviously, because I'm gifted. Yeah, Ivan, I was hooked reading that. Yeah, you guys were hooked reading. Yeah, I was hooked reading that, Ivan. You are an amazing storyteller. Yes, I am. And the character of Dawn and Megan jumped on the page, too, and Louis, too. Not Louis, Habib Darwish, the cab driver. Yeah. Yeah. I guarantee you all the directors, all the Hollywood directors, all you Hollywood directors, all the screenwriters in Hollywood, all the executives in Hollywood, you know what I'm saying? All the actors, when they read Simmons' my book, they're like, holy shit, man, Ivan's talented, man. He's an amazing storyteller, man. Like, there's something about his fantasy book it looks so entertaining, and the characters jump on it. Yeah, I'm a gifted storyteller, man. I told you I'm gifted, I'm very gifted, man. God gave me the gift. I know how to tell an amazing story. Yeah. Ivan, can you write your own screenplays? Yes, I can write my own screenplays. Obviously, I'm gifted, but screenplay is it's tougher than books, because you have to constantly visualize the scenes. So, sorry. But I can obviously write. If you can write your own novel, you can write a screenplay. But screenwriting is a lot more difficult because you have to constantly picture the scenes in your mind. But because I'm a creative genius, I have the picture brain. I have the creative gift. I can write a screenplay, obviously. Hence why I want to co-write it with Peter. But like, if I wrote a screenplay, I can write it, but I would have someone help me out, because screenwriting is a lot more difficult than writing a book. It's a lot more difficult. Samsara. Screenwriting is a lot more difficult than writing a novel. When I told you, now you guys, yeah, I thought you were good, but I didn't know you were that good. I thought your book might be pretty good, but it's not that good. And you read section of my book. Holy shit, man. Ivan's story looks sick. I know, it's a masterpiece. What an amazing fantasy novel, man. And hence why you guys now understand why when I adapt that story to the big screen, you're looking at a masterpiece. I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is Birth of the Rings. Yeah, it's Birth of the Rings, man, my book. It's a better book than Lord of the Rings. It's a masterpiece. Yeah, man. It's a masterpiece, my book. I wrote a masterpiece, man. Yeah, man. A masterpiece. I wrote a masterpiece in my book. It's a masterpiece. Yeah, man. Well, Ivan, you are gifted, man. Yeah, I have a creative gift, obviously. Ivan, are you saying you're more gifted than Brand Sanderson and George R. R. J.R.R. Tolkien? Well, I don't mean to be an asshole, guys. I don't mean to be cocky, but yes, like those guys are amazing authors. Obviously, Brand Sanderson is an amazing author. He wrote the Stormlight series, Way of Kings, amazing. Obviously, J.R.R. Tolkien wrote his masterpiece, Lord of the Rings. George R. Martin. George R. Martin wrote Game of Thrones, all that stuff. Those are amazing books, but guys, man, be honest, man. You guys read those books and you read my book. When you compare the two books, what book entertains you more? Ivan, your book is more entertaining. Yeah, there's something about my book that's very entertaining. Yeah. Like that scene when in volume in 20 years later when they give a toast, Takis and them have the party in the banquet hall. They're talking to the woman, obviously. And then you see Takis talking to Asantonius. He's like, when I was just a child, ALL's not served. And then Asantonius like, well, you're not bringing up those days, cousin. We drank the drink of age, juice, not L. I can say whatever I like. You know what I'm saying? They have memories of when they were kids. Yeah. You'll see what I mean. That passage will make sense when you read Young Tactius, because in Young Tactius, when Tacitonius and Cassius, they go to the brewery with Maramis and Cassius and all that stuff. But like they can't drink ale, they drink juice. They drink like Zanian fruit juice. I call it Zane fruit juice, obviously. Whereas Cassius and Maramis are drinking ale, and they're like, yeah, when you guys are older, you'll be drinking with us. And now they're older and they're in the banquet hall. They're talking to the woman, and like they have memories of when they were kids. And Taki's like, yeah, I remember when I was just a child. Ale's not served because now they're older. And then Taki's like, well, we're not bringing those days because we drank the drinks of age. When we drank the drink of age, juice, not ale. I can say whatever I like. Just like Taki said to the manager, I can stay wherever I like. They have those moments, yeah. Memories when they were kids, obviously. It ties to that story, right? That's how I wrote a masterpiece, yeah. And after that scene, you get the big climax of that chapter, but I didn't show you that scene because I won't spoil the story for you. That's the big, deep climax of that chapter. And you get it's hooking, obviously, and then you read the rest of the chapter. I won't spoil the story for you. I wrote a masterpiece. Masterpiece coming. Yeah. And you're welcome, sweetie. I found a way to make money for me and you, right? You're welcome. Obviously. Yeah, I mean, you're very good at dialogue for a fantasy world. Yeah, some of my dialogue is a bit stiff. Obviously, I told you, you guys caught some rawness in some of my dialogue when you read it, obviously. But most of my dialogue is top notch. But just some of it's a bit raw, obviously. But I don't have an editor. Even the greatest storytellers need editors to edit their story. But I don't want anyone touching my story. That's a masterpiece. I don't want anyone touching that. That's why I don't want anyone. I will never allow anyone to edit my story. Just fix my spelling, punctuation, and typos, but don't touch my fucking story. That's my masterpiece. I don't want to ruin that story, sir. Yeah. My story doesn't need any editing. The story is good, man. There's some sections of the book that are not as good, obviously. I even could have used an editor here, but I don't want anyone touching my story and reading my story, obviously. Yeah. Ivan, what chapter did you have writer's block when you wrote your book? Yes, I did, a little bit. The secret council and the surprising arrival. I had writer's block when I wrote that chapter a little bit. I remember when I was writing the beginning of the book, I had to stop and think for 10 minutes. Okay, what the fuck do I want to happen? So I had a little bit of writer's block. Because I'm a creative genius, even that chapter is entertaining. But that's the worst chapter in volume 3. Because that chapter I had writer's block. Yeah, even though I'm a creative genius, even the most creative people can have. I just had writer's block. And I remember I struggled a little with that chapter. I was writing, okay, what the fuck do I want to happen in the story? And I had to really think. I'm just I'll write. And I'll think for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, what happens, and I keep writing, and then it's still an entertaining chapter, but it's the worst chapter in volume 3 when you read it. The Secret Council and Surprising Arrival. That's the worst chapter in volume 3 for me personally. And the second worst one's probably Warren becoming king. It's just the war, right? And Walking with the Answers is most likely is arguably the best one. Or you could argue the first one, Unexpected Journey, is the best one. With Ephesus and all that stuff, that's sick too. Obviously, that's a sick chapter. Walking with the Answers is my favorite one. Because that's when you get the ancestors, and that's when the story gets so deep. It gets very, very deep. It gets deep, yeah. Gets deep. Gets deep, yeah. My story. Gets deep. Gets deep, yeah. Story. Yeah, so Mary's. I'll give you a little spoiler. I won't spoil it for you. When you read the Lithia chapter, when Tactius meets Lithia, well, you guys read that at the beginning of that scene, right? When Tactius meets Lithia, when Papyri and Tactius meet Lithia, Belle, and Mary, obviously that's the scene when he first meets her. Obviously, later on in the chapter, Mary thinks that Tactius is a farmer, but she thinks there's something off about him. There's something about this Tactius. He doesn't look like a Syrian. He looks like a guy from the north. She doesn't believe he's a northern, but she's curious, obviously. So I'm gonna say I won't spoil the story for you. She's like, there's something off about this Tactius guy. He's handsome, he's great with women, he has good game and all stuff. He's very charming. He's an amazing dancer. The Syrians are not dancers. That dancing comes from the north. I won't spoil the story for you. Yeah. When you read the book, obviously, the Northerns are good dancers because I always have scenes where I always mention how they dance. You see Tactius in that scene, he's dancing with his mother. Yeah, the Northerns are good dancers. They dance and all stuff. The Syrians heard about that. The Southerns know about that, but the Syrians are not known for their dancing. That's why she's curious. And there's something off about that. He doesn't look like a Syrian farmer. And he's not a Syrian farmer. He's a prince of Xanus, but they don't know that, obviously. Yeah. When Takis gets thrown in the dungeon, does Mary believe he's a Prince of Xanus? No, she's shocked. She's like, she says something like, I knew there was something off about him, but she's shocked. She's like, that cannot be. Like, they always have that reaction, that cannot be. Like, why would a Northern come here? They have that reaction. Obviously. You'll see when you read the book. Mary doesn't believe he's a Prince of Xanus either. Yeah. Yeah. Obviously. Yeah. That's why I wrote a masterpiece, man. A masterpiece, yeah, man. I wrote a masterpiece. A masterpiece, yeah, man. A masterpiece. Yeah. Yeah, but Ivan, why did Takis need to hide his identity? Well, because the Southerns don't like the Northerns. The Southerns don't like the Northerns either. Hence why Sirius told Takis, your name Takis cannot be used here. Obviously. Because the Southerns know that they know about Takis the First, the King of Xanus in the past, obviously. They know about Takis the First. That's why I recommend you don't use your name Takis. People can get suspicious because you have that name. And your sword hide it. They can't know you're the Prince of Xanus because the Southerns don't like the Northerns. And you can also draw the wolves. Obviously. You can also draw the wolves in. Eretha doesn't know what Takis is, but if he finds out that the Prince of Xanus is in Safi, he'll kill him, obviously. Hence why in that scene when Takis had an argument, he's like, look, the wolf, you don't want to draw the wolves near when you read that scene. Obviously. The wolves never come to Safi, obviously, but there's Eretha has the spies in the south. They can find out about Takis and Safi. It's like shit can happen. And that's why Sirius told Takis, your name Takis cannot be used here. You're a sword hiding. They can't know who the Prince of Xanus. And the Southerns don't like the Northerns. And Takis at first is like, no, I don't want to do that. And Sirius is like, look, man, it's for your own safety. Don't tell me you're the Prince of Xanus. He's like, okay. And he chooses to play along. He hates being Colonial Farm, but he chooses to play along. And hence why Eli can't believe he's a Prince of Xanus once they sees him. And he says he's a Prince of Xanus because they can't believe that the Prince of the North... What the fuck is the Prince of the North doing in the Cursed South? In Saphius? The Prince from the royal land of Xanus, who has all that wealth status, he's beloved by the people, is... What the fuck is that guy doing in the South? The Northerns never come to the South. That's why they can't believe that he's a Prince of Xanus. Because Takis is from a different kingdom, right? He's from a different territory, a different kingdom. He's from the heavily northern kingdom. They can't. The South is cursed. The South is a different kingdom. It's a cursed South kingdom. He's from the holy heavenly kingdom. They can't believe that the prince from the holy northern heavenly kingdom, Xanus, would come to the South. That's why the Southerns can't believe it. They're shocked. That cannot be. That cannot be. You always get that reaction. That cannot be. That cannot be. They're shocked that the Prince of Xanus would come to the South. That's why I want a masterpiece. But Lithia has the faith. Yeah, you'll see later on when you read more of Volume 3 and more things happen. Lithia constantly believes. And Tactius, when he's more mature, he tells her, you have great faith. He tells her that when you read Volume 3. He's like, woman, you have great faith like Jesus. And that's why you got Jesus with Tactius, especially when you win Volume 3. When Tactius gets more mature and everything, and he grows his beard and everything, he tells Lithia, because Lithia constantly believes whatever he's saying is true, he tells her, you have great faith. Tells her that, yeah, Lithia has great faith when you read the book. She constantly has this faith for Tactius. This faith. Whereas all the other Southerns doubted Tactius. They didn't believe. That cannot be. I don't believe he's a Prince of Xanus. That's impossible. What the fuck would the Prince of Xanus be doing in the South? They don't believe it. That's why I wrote a masterpiece. Yeah, man. Your book looks sick. I know. I wrote a masterpiece, man. Amazing story. Yeah. They don't believe it. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Yeah. That's why Lithia says, I knew it to be true. You know what I'm saying? She's like, my name is Lithia. Silence, daughter. Yeah, that's funny, I know. Why did he let us say silence, daughter? Because it pissed him off that Taki is actually really, what if he really is a president? He's like, silence, daughter. Yeah. He doesn't like Taki, is he? Like, yeah. He likes Takis at first, but then eventually he doesn't like him. You'll see what I mean when you read the book. I won't spoil the story for you, obviously. Yeah. Eli likes Takis at first, and after that he doesn't like him after that. And he seizes him. He's like, throw him in a dungeon. And they seize Takius, Sirius, and Papari, and they throw him in a dungeon. That's what looking at a sick book that I wrote, yeah. Obviously. And then once Taki gets thrown in a dungeon, he's no longer this arrogant, cocky prince. It humbles him. He even says, I'm sorry, guys. Like, it humbles him, obviously. But before that, he's a cocky, arrogant prince. Constantly making fun of he makes fun of Sirius and Papari. You're just a poor old farmer who raises cow. What do you know about being an heir or anything? How dare you bring my old man to this? You know what I'm saying? I am Tacius, heir of Xanus. I am subject to no one. Yeah. He's cocky, obviously. And later on, he's more humble. Once he gets thrown in the dungeon. So it humbles him, obviously. And that ties into young Tacius. When what? That ties into young Tacius when Tacius was causing ruckus with Tacitonius in the brewery, and the people were chasing him and Tacitonius in the brewery, and they run outside, and they're like, this boy is a menace to the city. You know what I'm saying? He's no worthy prince. I'm now sick, I know. And I'm saying, throw him in a dungeon. Maybe that'll teach this arrogant prince a lesson. Yeah. And when Tacius goes to the south, he gets thrown in a dungeon, and that does teach him a lesson and humbles him. That's why I like tying a lot of things into what happens in Tacius' life. Obviously, when you read that passage when he says, you mean monsters, cousin. Don't the prey take shelter, protection, or run away. You mean monsters, cousin. Yeah. He's like, one of these days I want to leave these walls and see what destiny awaits me. And Tacius leaves the walls and he finds all his destiny. That's why I'm looking at Mask that I wrote, man. I like tying a lot of things into the story. Yeah. So, Sarah? I ordered Masterpiece, man. Yeah, man. Is Young Tacius really your worst chapter in Volume 1? Yes. Young Tacius is my worst chapter by far in Volume 1. You know, what I showed you was still entertaining. Yeah, not so fucking entertaining. Yeah, that's my worst chapter in Volume 1. All my chapters are entertaining. Even my weakest chapters are entertaining. Land and Chaos, in my opinion, is the weakest chapter. For me personally, but some people might like it better than the other chapters. I highly doubt it. The Lithia chapter and Tacius or Colonius chapter, those two chapters, in my opinion, are better than the Land and Chaos chapter. Because Land and Chaos is politics, right? It's what's going on in Xanus, obviously, with Queen Sarah, Baramis the servant, and Maramis the archer, and Lithia is her daughter. Tacius' half-sister. Yeah. What's that chapter about? It's pretty much about the missing, pretty much when I won't spoil over you. When Tacius leaves the walls, obviously Cassius tells Baramis to keep the missing prince secret, and he told him to tell Queen Sarah to tell the people that Tacius is sick of a fever. He's recovering from his ailments in his chamber. And the people are become suspicious. Hey, like, let me in. I want to see the queen. Where's Tacius? Where's the prince? And they have to do their very best to hide it, obviously. That's why you have something called Land and Chaos, and you also have other stuff that goes on with Queen Sarah, obviously. That's an interesting chapter too, but it's not. In my opinion, it's the worst one. Or you can argue the captured one is the worst one, when Tacitonius and Cassius get captured by the wolves. I showed you a little snippet of that, but I kind of like that one more than Land and Chaos, right? Land and Chaos for me is the worst one in Volume 2, but that's still an entertaining chapter, then. Yeah, now it's entertaining. Yeah, it's still entertaining, right? I'm a genius. I'm a grave genius. I'm a genius. I'm a grave genius. Come on. I'm a genius. A grave genius. Come on. I'm a genius. That's why I wrote a masterpiece. And that's why the gates want to control my brand, but zero, man. You're not touching the my money, man. This money is for me, VJ. It's not for you. Samsara, I'm not gonna let you take my money after what you put with my life, man. You crazy? After what I went through in my life, man, no fucking way, man. This money's for me, VJ. It's not for you. You're not touching my money. This is my brand, my IP. It's not yours. You have your coins in your bank. This money's for me, VJ. It's not for you. Samsara? Yeah. So Ivan, the wolves hate the humans. Yeah, the wolves have a hatred for the humans. The wolves hate the humans. If they see the humans, they either capture them. They can either capture them or they'll kill them. They'll kill the humans. The wolves have a hatred towards the humans. They don't like the humans. Even though the Salons live in Eretat's territory, Eretat doesn't like the humans. But he does not mark the lands until Taki's generation. Obviously. Yeah. Why does he mark the lands? Because it's Tactius' generation is a lucky generation, and that's why that ties into Tactius the first one. He's like you smile. He's like I smile for them. For no generation is lucky as this one here. That ties into why Eretat marks the lands. Yeah, because it's the 10th generation. It's like the final generation, obviously, right? Yeah. You get some biblical symbolism with that. In the Old Testament, you have all the prophets. In the last days, Christ comes in, right? In the final generation, you get some symbolism with Tactius. You have a 10 generation history, a 1,000 year history. The 10 generations when Tactius the second is born, and that generation is a lucky generation. That's why Eretat decides to mark the lands. He's like, all the humans kill them, wipe them out. Yeah. That's why I wrote a masterpiece. Amen. Is Eretat evil when you read the book? Oh yeah, he's a devil, man. He's very evil, man. Every time when you see his dialogue, he's always bent on killing Tactius, bent on throughout the book. If pretty much the plot of Eretat, he's bent on killing the prince. That's pretty much the plot. He has this hatred towards Tactius, and he's bent on killing Tactius. Obviously, I won't tell you why. You'll see that when you read Volume 3 answers all the questions. That's why I wrote a masterpiece. Yeah, the plot gets deep, fucking deep when you read Volume 3. Very deep. Yeah, I won't spoil the story for you. Yeah. Does Eretat hate the Southerns? Yes, Eretat hates the Southerns too, but he doesn't hate the Southerns as much as the Northerns. Because the Northerns are from the Royal Holy Kingdom, obviously, and that's why he hates the Northerns more than the Southerns, but he also doesn't like the Southerns either. If the wolves see the humans, they'll kill them. The wolves have no mercy for the humans. They're devil beings. They have no mercy for the humans. They don't care about killing the humans. They're crazy, psychotic wolves. Demon wolves. They're devils. Yeah, man. They're devils and demons. They're devils and demons. They're demon wolves. They're devil wolves. Yeah. Yeah. Does Aratet envy Tactius? Yes. Aratet envies Tactius because he's the prince from the Holy North. Even though he's the king of the South, the Southern Kingdom's cursed, right? The Southern Animal Kingdom is cursed, and Tactius is the prince from the North, the Holy North. Aratet has it. He envies that too, obviously. Yeah, even though I'm the king of the South, you'll find out when you read the book. You get that in the book. Even though I'm the king of the South, and I'm the king of the South, obviously, like the South is fucking cursed, man. Whereas Takis is the prince from the holy, beautiful Northern Kingdom. Aratet has that envy, obviously. He envies that. That's why I wrote a masterpiece. I won't spoil the story for you, so I'm going to read the book. Obviously. Even though Aratet's the king of the South, obviously, and it's his kingdom, obviously, he envies the fact that Tachys is the prince of the holy Northern Kingdom. Obviously, that's why he told what he told Cassius, and that's the time. What are you doing in my territory? You know, I was like, how dare you come here? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I know why you're here. You're looking for someone special. And like Cassius is like, he's hiding. He's like, I know nothing of what you speak. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, the child attacking sound familiar to you now? And I was saying, yeah. Aratet's not stupid. Yeah, the Norras must have a reason to be roaming in my territory. The prince must be missing. Yeah, he figured it out, Aratet. That's why that leads to the rest of the story. I won't spoil the story for you. That's why I wrote a masterpiece. An amazing book. That's why the game's fucking my mouth. You're not touching my money, man. Zero. I'm being fucking serious, man. Zero, man. You're not touching a dime of money, man. It's money for me, BJ. It's not for you. Don't hate me with it. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah. So, Ivan, what's the story of Xanus about? Well, I don't want to spoil the story for you, but you pretty much have, like, you kind of have something like Game of Thrones. You have a Clash of Kings. You have a Clash of Kings. Xanus is kind of like you have this story. You have a Clash of Kings, right? Eratat, Tactius, and yeah, and there's more. There's also a deeper plot behind that. That's why I wrote a masterpiece. You'll see why I'm going to read the book. I won't spoil the story for you. Yeah, obviously. Yeah. Do the Southerns fear the wolves? Oh yeah, they do. Remember that scene with Sirius? He's like, yeah. He's like, it's nighttime. We should go inside. We have a fear of the wolves. The wolves never come to the lands until Talking Generation, but they have a fear of the wolves. Hence why the Southerns have this fear of the wolves. They always have that. They have that fear. Like, what if the wolves come here? They have that fear, obviously, but the wolves never touch the lands until Talking Generation. That's why I wrote a masterpiece. Yeah. They all live in Barak. The devils of Barak. That's why they're masterpiece, yeah. And they call them the wolves of Barak, as you read there, right? The wolves of Barak when Sirius and he's like, the wolves of Barak, they're here. We must go at once. In the end of that chapter, yeah, the wolves of Barak. They call them the wolves of Barak, yeah. When you read the book, Peter Ivan, the wolves of Barak. I'm like, yeah, Peter. The wolves of Barak. Yeah, that's what they call them. They call them the wolves of Barak. The wolves of Barak, yeah. Like the wolves must have mercy for children. No, even children they kill too. Like the wolves don't even care about the children. No, if they see children, they'll kill children too. They're cursed devil beings, man. Hence why what? They're devils, man. They're demons. They're devils. That's why I wrote a masterpiece. And you'll get the history of why that world is the way it is. Why is the South cursed? Why is the North holy? Why are the wolves cursed? Why are the bats cursed? Why is the South cursed? You're gonna find out the whole history when you read Volume 3. That's why Volume 3 is my favorite. And that's when the plot gets very deep. Because you get the whole history of why that world is the way it is. Not stuff. Yeah. Why are the Selvs in the south? Why are the Norths in the north? Why are the wolves cursed? Why are the bats cursed? Why is the south cursed? Why is the north holy? You get the whole history of why that world is the way it is. Hence why I wrote a masterpiece, man. It's a fucking deep, powerful story. And that's why Volume 3 gets very, very dark. Obviously. Gets dark. Because you guys probably think, yeah, Ivan, your story seems pretty light. Yeah, what I'm showing you is light stuff, but you guys didn't see the wolf scenes, right? The wolf scenes are dark in Volume 1 and Volume 2, but Volume 3 is the story is no longer light, man. It gets dark, it gets deep, and it gets very, very dark. It's a dark. Volume 3 is a dark episode of Tactius' life, whereby in the end he's in agony because he's facing the devil himself, and all his friends are crying, man. It's crazy. Tactius is in deep agony, yeah. Obviously, that's why I wrote a masterpiece. A masterpiece. Yeah, man. A masterpiece. I wrote a cinematic masterpiece. A literary cinematic masterpiece. Yeah. Yeah. Why is it called Last of Us Names? You'll see what I mean when you read the book. I won't spoil it for you. You guys don't really know, yeah, why the fuck are you calling it Last of Us Names? Well, you'll see what I mean when you read it. When you read Volume 3 is when you'll know why I call it the Last of Us Names. You'll see why I call it Last of Us Names. I won't spoil it for you. That's why I wrote a masterpiece. Yeah. I don't have a good title for Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. Obviously. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm saying, Ivan, how deep is Xanus? Xanus is so deep, it's even deeper than Jesus' Xanus is so deep, it's even deeper than what? It's even deeper than the Jesus story, man. Like, Jesus dying on a cross, that's deep, but it's not as deep as Xanus. Xanus is even deeper than that. It's very, very deep, man. It's deeper than even Jesus dying on the cross, right? When you read the Bible, yeah, it's deep, man. It's biblical level deep. It's deep. How deep, Ivan? It's so deep, it'll blow your mind away, man. You're gonna be your mind will be blown away, and hence why once a world reads my book, they're gonna be like, holy shit, man! Ivan wrote a fucking masterpiece, man. That's the best fans ever written. Yeah, it's the best fans ever written. I wrote a masterpiece. I wrote a masterpiece. It's an amazing book. My book. Yeah, man. Yeah. That's how people are like, yeah, Ivan, you wrote a masterpiece, man. This is gonna be the best fans ever. This is better than Lord of the Rings. I know because better than Lord of the Rings. But better than Lord of the Rings, my book, man. Better movie than Lord of the Rings. That's deeper. Lord of the Rings is pretty deep, but it's just Frodo destroying the One Ring, right? My story is deeper than that. Much deeper than that. It's deeper than Lord of the Rings. It's a deep story. It's a powerful story, yeah, man. It's a deep story, my book. It's very, very deep. Yeah, man. How deep? Biblical level deep. It's not a biblical story, but it's biblical level deep with Jesus, right? You know how Jesus was in agony before he was about to die on the cross? It's deep like that, man. It's biblical level deep. Yeah, man. It's biblical level deep, my book. It's biblical. It's biblical level deep, my book. Yeah, it's a masterpiece. My book is deep. It's biblical level deep, my book. It's a masterpiece. A masterpiece, yeah, man. Yeah, man. As Taki's become king, you'll see what I mean when you read the book. Ivan, who's his wife? Who's the queen? I don't want to spoil the story. You'll find what I mean when you read the book. I want to spoil the story for you, man. Yeah, obviously. Yeah. Does Aratat die in the book, Ivan? I don't want to spoil the story. You'll find out what I mean when you read the book. I don't want to spoil the story for you, man. That's why I wrote a masterpiece. Yeah, obviously. Ivan, do any of your characters die in the book? I don't want to spoil the story. You'll find out what I mean when you read it. I don't want to spoil the story for you, man. You'll find out what I mean when you read the book. I don't want to spoil the story for you. All I'll say is that all those southern guys that Takis meets in Safi's, they all fight in the war. They all told Takis, look, man, I want to fight alongside you against those demon wolves. They're brave. I want to fight for the people. That's what kind of match that I wrote. Yeah. Obviously, Papyri fights in the war. Tacitonius and Cassius obviously fight in the war. They're trained Northerns. Maramus fights in the war. Joe fights in the war. Eli fights in the war. Cornelius fights in the war. They tell Takis, yeah, we want to fight alongside you, my prince. You know, saying against those devil wolves. Yeah, that's what like a powerful story. It's a masterpiece, man. Yeah, man. It's a masterpiece. My book. Yeah. And that's what God gave me the keys, Ivan. That way you can open your own door, man. I know you hate the keys and you trip. And I know I have a mental illness. I think psychotic thoughts. I'm fucked in my head, obviously. But God gave me the keys. That way I can open my door and the gates don't touch my money. Otherwise, if I didn't have the keys, I'd be selling out in the Hollywood system and they would destroy my life. I get a garbage VJ sharing with the world. Yeah, if you didn't have the keys, you'd be sharing with Victoria Justice forever the world. The world will never let you and VJ get each other out to themselves because they're consumed with their envy. They're crazy people, man. Yeah, you guys are from the heavens. You're too fucking hot. We want to fuck both of you. We all want a piece of you. Yeah. Because when the world means sharing, it means Victoria Justice, I'm talking to you. When the world says sharing, they mean like for generations, forever, man. Because they're fucking crazy people. Yeah, Ivan, you have to share with the world for every generation, forever. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, Ivan, every generation, forever, you have to share with everyone. Because all the upcoming generations are all going to want a piece of me too. And VJ, because they're crazy people. That's why I came with the keys that the gates don't do, man. I don't share with the world, man. They destroy my life. Yeah, I'm not interested in fucking all these people. I know you guys are fucking crazy people, man. Yeah, man. I don't even struggle with sex. I don't go out and bang women. I'm a one. There's a reason why I only want to have one girlfriend. I'm not interested in being a womanizer and banging a bunch of chicks. It's not who I am. I'm a one woman kind of guy. I'm not interested in fucking a bunch of people, man. But you guys are fucking crazy people. Yeah, and you're too fucking hot. We want a piece of you. You're too fucking beautiful. You're hot and you're handsome and you're fresh. You're the perfect man. I want a piece of you. I want a piece of VJ. VJ's the perfect woman. Yeah, you guys are fucking crazy people. Yeah, man. Yeah. 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 Is Eli rich, Ivan? Yeah, Eli is very rich, obviously, but he's not as rich as Takis, obviously. But he's wealthy too. He's a very, very wealthy. He's a powerful man. He's very wealthy, but he's not as wealthy as like Tacitonius, Cassius, and Takis. Those guys are the royal family. The royal family from the north. They're not as rich as those guys, but Eli is he's a wealthy man too, obviously. And Lithia is a spoiled daughter, and Belle and Mary live with Lithia, obviously. When you read the book, right? And Job is Eli's hired caretaker, and he's rich too. When you read the book, Job tells Cassius and Tacitonius, yeah, Eli pays me good wages. I'm his caretaker. So Job is rich too. Eli pays him a lot of money as his caretaker. He's the pothead caretaker, obviously. He's Eli's caretaker when you read the book. Obviously, but he's a pothead. He smokes weed all the time. He's a pothead, Job. Cornelius is rich too. I don't explain Cornelius as well, but Cornelius is obviously rich too. He's a captain of the blacksmiths in Saphius, and he's Eli's right-hand man, second in command. And he's also like his bodyguard when you read the book, kind of, right, in a way. I don't explain how he's his bodyguard, but you can get passages where Eli is kind of his bodyguard. Like when Cassius approaches Eli, he's like, "Don't take one more step, Northern." And Tacitonius is like, "What are you gonna do? Forge us?" He was mocking him. Because the Saxons are not trained in the arts, whereas the Northerns are trained in the Zayn arts. Evan. Yeah. Hence why when I told you I wrote a masterpiece, better than Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, and all that stuff, and Way of Kings, I wasn't playing around. I wrote a better book than all those books. Xanus is a fantasy novel that will not be beaten. You can't beat that book. Why can you not beat it, Ivan? Okay, there's three reasons why. There's three reasons why you can't beat Xanus. The first reason, there's four reasons. The first reason, it's a very unique story. That's number one. The second reason, it's a very entertaining story. Like I hooked you for 3 volumes straight. Obviously. The third reason, the characters do not feel dull. They jump on the page. And the fourth reason is it's the best story ever told. It's the most powerful story ever told. It's a very, very deep story. It's a story that cannot be beaten. I'm not kidding around. Once you read my book, the whole world will be like, yeah, you can't top this story. This story is so deep. It doesn't get any deeper than that. Yeah, it's so deep you can't top it. I set the standard for fantasy whereby no fantasy author, I'm going to say this right now, once I release my book, no fantasy author will be able to write a better book than Last War's Age. You can't beat that story. It's too entertaining. The characters jump on the page, and the story is so deep you can't beat it. It's a masterpiece. A cinematic masterpiece, yeah, man. Yeah. That's what my stepmother told me. She's like, yeah, Ivan, your book is #1, and Hollywood would love your story. And my stepfather, I overheard him. He's like, "How the heck can you come up with a story like that?" Yeah, when they read my book, they were obviously shocked. There's something unique about Ivan's book. His character on the page, it stands off from all his other books. This book is #1. It's going to be more popular than Harry Potter. It's a book worth billions. I want to control that. Yeah, they're greedy pigs, but you're not touching my money, man. Zero. That money's for me. It's not for you. You're not touching down my money, man. Yeah, man. All the money in the world goes to you, and you kept me poor, and you did this evil to me. I'm not going to let you take control over my book. You gave me this fucking mental illness. You fucked up my brain. I'm not going to let you cause that mess. I'm not going to let you take control of my book. The money's for me, VJ. It is not for you. Samsara? Yeah, man. Yeah. Ivan, you think your book is much better than these fantasy novels? I don't mean to be cocky, but yeah, it's a public embarrassment, man. My book, like, I don't mean to be cocky, even though like Way of Kings and all these books are amazing books. Like my story is so good, it blows it out of the water because it's so entertaining. No author kept the reader hooked the way Ivan did. Be honest, guys, man. You read snippets of my book. You read these other books. Is my book the far more? Yeah, your book is so unique, Ivan. It's far more entertaining than all these other books I read. Yeah, these other books are letdowns when you read my book. It's a public embarrassment in the industry when you read my book because I wrote a masterpiece. And I wrote what? A literary cinematic masterpiece. I wrote a masterpiece. Emin. A masterpiece. Yeah, almost done, guys. Talk for almost an hour 40 minutes. Yeah. I have no. The ancestors are powerful. Yes, they're very powerful. You'll see what I'm going to do on video. I won't spoil the story for you. They're very powerful. Very powerful beings, yeah, when you read the book. You have the ones in the south and you have the ones in the north. I won't spoil the story. You'll see what I'm going to read the book. I won't spoil the story for you. That's why I wrote a masterpiece, yeah. Yeah. That's why I told you for Xanus you do get biblical symbolism. Because in the Bible, you have all the prophets in the Old Testament that were pointing to Jesus. You kind of have some of that for Xanus. Xanus, you have all the kings, you have all the past kings, and it points to Tactius. I'm gonna say I won't spoil a story for you like Jesus. That's all I'm gonna say. I won't spoil a story for you. That's why you get that scene with Tactius. He says, "I smile for them because no generation is like this one here." So I'm gonna say I won't spoil the story. You'll see what I mean when he says that when you read the book. I won't spoil the story for you. That's why I wrote a masterpiece. That's why you can get biblical symbolism with Xanus. Xanus is not a biblical story. It's a fantasy. It's a crazy horror fantasy book. But you can get some biblicism, a lot of biblicism when you read it, obviously. Yeah. Are the Northerns allowed to leave the walls? No, they're not. The Xanians are not allowed to leave the walls unless it's for a good reason. They have to have a good reason. When you read the book, in Xanian law, you're not allowed to leave the walls unless for a good reason. I say that in the book. So if they have to go to war or do something, like, because Cassian has always had to look for Tacius, they allowed them to leave the walls, obviously, because the prince was missing. But the Northerns are never allowed to leave the walls. It's not safe outside the walls, yeah. The north is safe, obviously, but the wolves can also be in the north, and you have the crows, too, who can be in the north. It's not safe, hence why they have a wall built, to protect them from the demon wolves and the demonic beings. That's why they have a wall, but it's dangerous. The demon wolves are evil. They're wicked beings, I'm saying. They're devil beings. They're wicked beings, I'm sorry. Yeah. Is Ephesus more powerful than Eratat? No, he's not. You'll see why he's not as powerful as Eratat. He's very powerful, Ephesus, but he's not as powerful as Eratat, Ephesus. Eratat's more powerful, obviously. Eratat is the king of the Eratat is the king of the of the south, but Ephesus is a king bat of the mountains in the south. That's Ephesus territory. And Eratat's the king of the south, hence why they have their own territories, obviously. So Ephesus is the king of the mountains, but he's the king of the mountains in the south. That's his territory. When you read Volume 3, Eratat's like, yeah, the bats, that's their territory. Never go there. That's their territory, obviously. Because the bats and wolves are not necessarily the best as of friends, but their common enemy are the humans, especially the Northern. They don't like the Northerns and the humans. They hate the humans. The animal beings have a hatred towards the humans. They don't like the humans. Obviously. Why? You'll find out why they hate the humans when you read the book. I won't spoil the story for you. You'll find out why Eratat hates Tacius. I won't spoil the story. You'll see why when you read the book. Hence why I wrote a masterpiece, man. I wrote a masterpiece. A literary cinematic masterpiece. I wrote a masterpiece. Amen. A masterpiece. Really, Ivan? Yeah, man. A masterpiece I wrote. So, Ivan, everything in the South is cursed? Yes. When you read the book, everything in the South is cursed, except for the Southerners. The Southerners are not cursed beings because they're humans. I won't spoil the story. You'll see why when you read the book. But everything in the South, so all the animal beings in the South, are cursed. There's a reason why Eratat and them are devils, because they're cursed beings. I don't want to spoil the story for you. And even the atmosphere of the South is cursed. The region is cursed. Like you have like a gray sky. It's cursed, obviously. Whereas the North is holy. It's not cursed. It's beautiful and holy. The South is cursed terrain. The North is holy terrain. That's why I wrote a masterpiece, man. And hence why the Southerners are shocked. Why the fuck would the prince from the Holy Northern Kingdom come to the fucking Cursed South? They can't believe it. Because he's of high status, value, and respect. He's a prince from the holy, beautiful heavenly kingdom. Why the fuck would that guy come down to the fucking Cursed South? They can't believe it. Because the Northern's never come to the South. Hence why I wrote a masterpiece. That's why the Souths can't believe Taki is the Prince Xanus. Hence why Cassius and Antonius had to convince him to release him. Hence why I wrote a masterpiece, guys. Yeah, man. A masterpiece. That's why I wrote a masterpiece. Yeah. Are the Eagles evil, Ivan? No, the Eagles are good. The Eagles are on the northern side. They're the Watchers of the North. That's why you got that passage in the prologue. Takis verses like, Watchers of the North, do you hear your king? I am now sick, no saying. I know, no saying. They're like, you called on us, O king. Our sincere joy in your child's birth, and you have my welcome. What is it you seek from us, Tactius? Make haste to Sapphis. Tell him the king Xanus sent you. Have them forge a sword for my son, the prince, as you command, sire. Yeah, the Eagles are good. They're good, obviously. Whereas the Crows are wicked Crows, obviously. They're devils, too. They're demon Crows. They're Eretat spies. So you have the spies of the South, and you have the Watchers of the North, obviously. So the Eagles are the Watchers of the North, and the Crows are the spies of the South. And that leads to Eretat and them, fooling them, finding out about Cassius and Antonius, because you have Eretat spies in the South, obviously. Yeah, but when Takis went to the South, the spies did not know about Takis, but they knew about Cassius and Antonius and their 50 men. That leads to the full scene, right? When they get captured, I won't spoil the story for you. Eretat has the spies of the South, they're demon Crows, and then in the North you have the Eagles, who are the Watchers of the North, obviously. Yeah, right. If the Eagles are the Watchers of the North, how the heck did Takis leave the walls? They were sleeping. That's how I eliminate the plot hole. I said the Eagles were sleeping, and later on when you read it, they're like, we failed Takis and everything. He's missing and everything. I won't spoil the story for you. Now, at least the rest of the story, I won't spoil the story for you. But the Eagles are not developed that well. They're very minor. They only have like 4 scenes in the book. The Crows have more scenes, but the Eagles are very, very minor characters. I don't develop them that well. But in the movie, I can develop them a bit more. They tell Takis them stories when they're kids. In the book, they don't. The only scene you get in Volume 1 of the Eagles is the scene when they talk to Takis the first, and when they talk to young Takis. Just keeping an eye on you. Good day. That's the only dialogue you get of the Eagles in Volume 1. Obviously, they're very minor characters. I didn't really spend my time developing them because they're not that important. Hence why I decided not to develop them that much. The Eagles are not that developed that well when you read my book. They're not developed that well, Sarah. The Wolves used to be good. I don't want to spoil the story. You'll find out when I read the book. That's why I wrote a masterpiece, man. Where the Wolves and Bats are good before, I don't want to spoil the story. You'll see that when I read the book. That's why I wrote a masterpiece. And that's why Volume 3 is so deep. It's such a powerful, deep story, and it gets dark, man, and scary. It gets scary and dark. My book is not that scary because even if you write the most horrific book ever, it's because you're reading a book, it's not that scary. But once I adapt to the screen, it'll be something very, very frightening and scary. Whereby everything them are devils and demons. And the whole world's like, holy shit, I feel bad for attacking and all of them. Yeah. They're devils and demons when you watch the movie. I'm bringing that amazing world to life. When I adapt the book, right? That's why people are like, yeah, this will be better than Lord of the Rings. I know people will be better than Lord of the Rings. I know, seriously, man, this is better than my Lord of the Rings. I know, Peter. It's better than Lord of the Rings. Amen. Yeah. Yeah. And so when I show you that clip, remember that clip when when you see the Steven guy, he's like, this is Lord of the Rings is the greatest movie trilogy in movie history. You know, and then you see Peter Jackson talking. We took a gamble. You know, I said, yeah, I think it's something crazy buzzed out from my movie, man. Once the world reviews my book, yeah, this is the greatest fantasy story ever told. Something that will even be better than Lord of the Rings. Yeah, this is going to be the greatest movie Joe's ever made, man. Yeah. Xanus will be the greatest movie Joe's ever made when you watch my book. It's a fucking masterpiece, man. And you guys read snippets in my book, and you guys don't understand well when I said my book's a masterpiece, I'm not playing around. It's the most entertaining read of a lifetime, and it's a fucking masterpiece. Amen. It's the most entertaining read of a lifetime, my book. It's a masterpiece. That's why I was saying it's the best fast novel ever written. Anyways, guys, I talked for an hour 50 minutes. I hope you guys enjoy the show. Stay tuned. I'll make a video tomorrow morning. I'm off tomorrow. And I'll enjoy the show with you guys. I'm signing up. Peace. Hope you guys enjoy the show. Don't hate me, guys. I'm saying peace out. Hope you guys enjoy the show. Peace out. Hope you guys enjoy the show, guys.